So guys, battery swap adoption is actually much higher than what you guys have known. All right, it is actually everywhere. So when we pay attention to battery swap, we're thinking about cars most of the time, but it's actually available everywhere. Okay, so recently at CES, they just debuted this new thing called a Swipit, which is a battery swap for your phone, and it works for any single phone out there, and you just have to use their proprietary case, and it gets you a full charge battery within like seconds, basically, and it's really, really quick. Pop it in and out it comes, right? And this is, of course, one of the applications, and people are saying, hey, it's so smart, it's so smart. Like, man, this is amazing. And of course, right? Of course. And yet, some people are still countering the battery swap argument, saying that it's stupid, phones don't need battery swap anymore, yada, yada, yada. But if you look at it from a broader perspective, okay, Kawasaki Ninja E motorcycle, all right, electric motorcycle, that has battery swap as well. Quickly change and get a full charge very, very quickly. And then not just that, but everywhere else, electric bikes, all right, electric bikes, e-bikes, mopeds, all over the world there are these battery swap stations for them. Most of them require manual swaps, right? You gotta take the battery out yourself, but they are everywhere, okay? Not just in China, and also especially in China, like all these food delivery guys, they have these electric bikes, and their batteries can be swapped with one of these swap stations. They have these swap stations everywhere as well, and you can just pop the battery out and get a fully charged one and put it in. And you can tell, like, not just in China, Taiwan, whether it's anywhere, the Philippines, in Africa, there are these swap stations everywhere, okay? And what you're seeing is, the concept is not a new concept, all right? It works for mopeds, it works for e-bikes, it works for phones, right? How come it can't work for cars, right? Of course it works for cars, right? I've been swapping so many times. I've lost count of how many times I've swapped. And so what you're seeing is, and also other players entering the car swapping game, okay? Notably CATL. And a lot of you guys were worried that this is going to be problematic for NIO. But it just shows that battery swap is the right way to go, right? And the other thing is, of course, as we progress and you see all these battery swap stations everywhere, the convenience factor, it does take time for people to understand, right? I mean, I'm sure you guys were pretty surprised when I showed you guys all these little clips of battery swaps in mopeds and motorcycles and phones, etc. You guys have probably never seen that for the first time, right? So, and likewise for a lot of normal citizens of the world, they probably aren't too familiar with the concept of the swap yet, right? But as you can tell, as time is progressing, more and more people adopt battery swap in their everyday lives, and it's kind of becoming a thing that once you know it, right, you're just thinking like, why wouldn't we do that, right? People commenting on that phone battery swap, like, why didn't we have this before? This is amazing, right? It's so convenient. Same thing with EVs, with NIOs. You have to sort of experience it first, right? It's Dr. Shinfei from NIO Power, he said there's only two types of people, okay? One type, the first type is a person that has never experienced battery swap, and the other is a person that has experienced battery swap before. And it's something that you have to experience on your daily lives to sort of understand how convenient it is. And battery swap itself for me has saved me a whole lot of time. I never have to worry about charging. I just swap and go, finished, right? And you're seeing with these other companies, they're also waking up, joining in on the battery swap alliance. CATL joining, doing their own battery swap is also good news for NIO, right? It just means that there's less explanation. They're going to help educate more people about the importance of battery swap. And gradually, you're going to see more and more people just really, really, really like battery swap, right? Whether it's in cars or everywhere else. And it is going to take some time, but you're seeing it everywhere. Battery swap is never the wrong move in any sort of thing, right? Whether it's phones or drones or mopeds or cars, right? In trucks as well. Trucks, there's also truck battery swaps. Crazy, right? So battery swap is really the right path forward, and it is really the replacement for gas stations going forward. Now, there are certain limitations with battery swap, which, some of it is very valid. Like, for example, it does set certain constraints with the proportions of the car. That does mean, like, for example, the Firefly car would have to have its own battery swap station because it's a bit smaller, right? The battery packs are smaller. It wouldn't fit inside the swapping mechanism. And the fact that the car itself is also smaller. The wheelbase is shorter. That also means that if you were to drive a Firefly car into a NIO swap station, it would probably just fall down, like if you open the hatch down below. So that does mean it needs its own dedicated swap station. And it does mean that you kind of have to have a unified sort of chassis, right, so to speak. But, of course, you pretty much only need like a bigger size and then a smaller size one, right? Chassis for battery swap. Right now, the bigger size one, available for NIO, available for Envo, available for all the battery swap alliance partners that are signed up, and also Cherry. They've done testing on the battery swap cars, their own battery swap cars coming to market very soon, and it works fantastic. It works fantastically well. And that's the bigger size swap station. And of course, you're going to have the smaller size swap stations for more compact cars. And that's pretty much it. It's kind of like having diesel pump and then having like another, your regular gasoline. So, going forward, this isn't really a big constriction, so to speak. Now, you do realize that charging, no matter how fast it gets, is really limited by the grid. It's really limited by the people charging around you. If there's more people charging around you, that's going to make your charge a lot slower. And a lot of people have realized this, and also like police as well. They've realized how inconvenient charging can be sometimes, especially when they're on the job and they need to be quick. So some police have also adopted NIO vehicles for battery swap, for its performance, etc. And of course, slowly but surely, people will also realize the importance of battery swap when it comes to battery sustainability, battery degradation. Right? It's going to take some time. People are going to have to learn their lesson the hard way, but eventually it's going to become common knowledge, right? So as we see more and more battery swap products in the world, not just for cars, but for phones, etc., people are going to become more willing to accept this concept of battery swap, and more people will understand the importance of battery swap. It's the education part which is the most difficult. That's why Will and Lee was extremely happy for CATL to be doing their own battery swap project, so that there's less explaining for NIO to do to customers when it comes to battery swap. So that's definitely very good. And also, that tech is provided from NIO. They have this very nice alliance going on. So going forward, more battery swap stuff, very good. Would you buy a car that can do battery swap? I think it's a no-brainer. No matter how good another car is, an EV, if you have to charge and spend hours, or maybe even like, if you're at a highway charging station, spend multiple hours lined up waiting for a charger, and then charge for maybe 30 minutes to an hour, or maybe 2 hours, depending on the output of the grid. If they can't provide that much electricity, well, too bad, so sad. You have to charge for a longer period of time. I can't imagine going through that. That's a terrible thing to go through. And I've seen some people go through that during holiday vacation. That's why most people don't drive their EVs here in China during those kind of holiday vacations, which is very dumb. So definitely big win for battery swap. All right, and adoption everywhere. All right, phones, scooters, etc. People need to understand how important battery swap is. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.